All right, let's jump into it. Again, I'm not being facetious. I'm being serious. Whenever you start a soliloquy about the state of college basketball or sports with, I know I'm going to get in trouble for this. I get my popcorn ready because I know what you're about to say is something that I'm going to agree with 100%. And this latest example was in reference to a young man named London Johnson, who is now part of Louisville basketball after spending 3 years in the G League. And I'm wondering, that was an unvarnished statement, and I'm wondering how you're still feeling about it a few days later, Tom.
I feel the same about it. I mean, some agree, some disagree, but I think people should understand what I feel the same about is we had no idea. I mean, we don't even know the rules, and I'm disappointed in that. I've been on a lot of NCAA boards, and I just think that if we're getting to the point where there's no rules and no guidelines and no guardrails in anything we do, I mean, that could be fine. And then I'm going to try to be I'm going to try to be the cameraman on your show. That's maybe I'll come out to California and join you because it's getting harder and harder. And I don't think it's fair to the kids that are here, Rich. That's what I think. Everybody thinks, well, the guy that's gone pro, he goes pro, he leaves early, he makes a mistake, doesn't make a mistake, whatever it is, he should be able to come back. Well, that could be true. But what about if your son was one that was next in line at the school he was at, and all of a sudden he's out of luck? Now you're teaching kids, I think, things that I really don't want to teach them. So I said what I said, but I was more upset that nobody knows. I don't think anybody knows what rules are being made and how they're being made.
Well, again, my point that I was making the other day, Tom, is that the G League was created for kids who basically wanted to get paid and weren't ready for the NBA yet, to make sure that the NBA wasn't wasting their talent, or their talent wasn't being wasted as the 15th man on a bench. And so let's get him some experience, let him get him paid in a way that college wasn't going to allow. And this young man availed himself of that. And now he's allowed to come back to college because I guess the NIL rules have changed to the point where that's fine. I don't get it. And nobody's, since you said what you said, called you up from the NCAA to try to explain anything? Nothing? Zero?
No. And the other reason it was created and why the NCAA semi went along with it is some kids just don't like school and didn't want to go to school.
Right.
So they tried to make it right for everybody. But I again, a lot of these things for me, I just think of how I would feel about my own son. And I know it's competitive, but there is a reason there was the amateur, there was the pro, and if it's going to change and everybody's going pro, then let's be pros. Let's have salary caps, let's have contracts that matter, and everybody will be pros. I mean, if that's what they want, I would struggle with that, but who am I? I would do whatever they want, and yet that's not been very clear, and that's disappointing.
So have you heard from any of your colleagues to say, let's band together and ask the questions, or has that happened, Tom?
Yeah, I have. I heard of a lot of colleagues, and but it's one of those things, Rich, you got to get to the end of your career. You know what I mean? Because I think people are afraid to say too much because it's going to hurt recruiting or it's hurt. I really don't care. All I want to do is help the game and help the players that are here on my team. The other thing, if you're allowing that to happen, what happens to all these high school kids? Where do they go? How do they get their education? They're not going to get scholarships. There's a lot of programs now not even recruiting high school kids anymore. I think that's sad. That's my opinion. And I know I'm going to get killed for it, maybe by some people, but it's my opinion. But I think it's a fair opinion. And I've been on every board and I've watched it. And I don't know what we're doing right now, but I don't know who does, because nobody was presented these things before they happened, in my humble opinion.
Well, again, Tom Izzo here on the Rich Eisen Show. I am struggling with. Well, let me just go back to what you just said, Tom, where you said that it could hurt in recruiting for a younger coach to come out and take such a strident view against what I think is beyond a head scratcher. I mean, wouldn't it be helpful for your recruiting to say, basically, I'm not going to take somebody who's doing this sort of thing, that if I take you on my team, I intend to play you. I intend for you to be here. I'm not going to have you lose your spot to somebody that comes from the G League. You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't that be helpful in a way, or no?
Yeah, I think I see your point. I just don't know if people look at it. You know, every player we recruit, Rich, every player Michigan recruits or Indiana or Alabama or USC or UCLA. I mean, I got managers that think they're pros. You know, every player that you have on your squad thinks they're a pro. Now, there's only like 1.2% that make it there. So everybody thinks you should have every opportunity. I think you do have opportunities. I wish college was a farm club. You know, I think we would be a great one. I wish we would work with the NBA and we'd all be together. I think they do a little bit more of that college and pro football. I'd like to see that happen more in basketball, to be honest with you.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.